We begin with breaking news, extraordinary news about the 10 American missionaries that may, the startling news that may blow the case against them, or at least the hopes that some of them might get out soon. Carl Panhall is working the local end of this breaking story. He joins us now with the latest. Carl, what have we learned?
Well, take a look at this. The man on the left put together the missionaries' legal defense team. He's from the Dominican Republic, and his name is Jorge Puello. Now take a look at the man on the right. He's Jorge Torres Orellana. He's wanted in El Salvador on charges of trafficking young prostitutes. Now, the Salvadoran police say that they think it's the same man. And today, police in El Salvador issued an international arrest warrant for Jorge Torres Orellana. The arrest warrant for Orellana is on charges of trafficking young prostitutes between the Dominican Republic and Central America.
So that man is being accused of trafficking. The photos that you got tonight from the Salvadoran police, talk us through them.
Okay, this is the man they know as Jorge Torres Orellana. The photos taken from an ID card, and police say that they arrested his wife in May. And in the same operation, they found his ID card. His wife's in jail on the same charges of trafficking young prostitutes. Now, also in that raid, they found this photo on a Salvadorian passport in the name of Jorge Anibal Torres Puello. And take a look at this. This is the man I met Monday who showed up at court in Haiti, surrounded by a group of bodyguards. He introduced himself as Jorge Puello. He said he'd come to organize a team of attorneys for the Americans. So we have 3 photos, 3 names, all of whom appear to be the same man.
And let's be careful here. I mean, do the Salvadoran police say this is the same guy that they are looking for?
Exactly. Well, the police have said that these photos all look like the same man, but they say that they won't be able to be sure until they can compare fingerprints. For the time being, the international arrest warrant has been issued in the name of Jorge Torres Orellana.
So obviously this would be a blow to the Americans who are currently in custody if their representative was in fact wanted for trafficking. I know you've talked to this guy several times this week. What does he say about all this?
Well, first of all, he offered an interview to a member of the CNN team in the Dominican Republic earlier in the day, and after that he never picked up his telephone. I phoned him tonight, he wasn't picking up. I talked to his secretary, and she said that he had issued no comments. He apparently told the New York Times earlier this week that he had no passport and had never been to El Salvador.
Did he know any of the American missionaries before he started representing them?
We don't know that from here in Haiti. I suspect at least part of the answer may be there in Idaho.
All right, Dan Simon, I think, is standing by in Idaho. Dan, what are you hearing? You're in Boise. You've been talking to family members, the detained Americans, and church members about Puello. I mean, how did this guy get hired, and how concerned are the families?
Well, Anderson, first of all, the only thing family members have offered thus far for Jorge Puello is praise. This is a guy they trusted implicitly and somebody they thought who was acting in good faith on their behalf. Let me explain how Jorge Puello gets hired. He makes what has essentially been described as a cold call to the church offering his legal services for free. That call then gets routed to a guy named Sean Langford, his wife and daughter both detained in Haiti. I spoke with Sean Langford today. He confirms that he did hire Jorge Puello on behalf of the families, and he says he's glad that he did, and he says he's somebody who, quote, wanted to help the children. As for the allegations, very surprised. Nonetheless, he says the church would work on drafting some kind of statement, a statement we haven't received as of tonight. Anderson?
I mean, this is obviously, if it does turn out to be true that this man, and it's very confusing, Dan, with all these names, but this man in the Dominican Republic who's now been representing these families, these American missionaries who are in custody here in Haiti, there are now these accusations that he is one and the same person as a man wanted for trafficking young girls into El Salvador, of all places. I mean, it sort of boggles the mind. There's clearly, as you're hearing, a lot of skepticism on the part of the families. I mean, they find this hard to believe, yes?
Well, absolutely. I spoke to another family member tonight, a guy named Eric Thompson. His wife, Carla Thompson, is there in Haiti. She's the one who got a leg infection earlier this week off of mosquitoes. He's been very concerned, terrified for what's happening to her. But as for Jorge Puello is concerned, again, a guy he completely trusted, almost dismissive of these allegations in a way because in his mind, they just did not seem to ring true. Again, very skeptical, and he says that really Jorge Puello is somebody who is offering him and the families some compassion in really their darkest hour.
Do we know, Carl, much the Jorge Puello, who is the man who's representing the 10 American missionaries? And again, for accuracy's sake, we don't know for a fact that he is the same man wanted by authorities in El Salvador. Their pictures look similar, but as you said, until the Salvadoran authorities get fingerprints, they can't say for sure. Do we know, like, his background at all? I mean, do we know for a fact he's a lawyer?
We don't know that. That's something that we're trying to check. Now, we're trying to check on the bar register, but even if he's not registered on that, he could still practice as a lawyer. On his identification information, which is registered in Dominican Republic with the electoral office, he only appears there as a businessman. But that's pretty broad scope. He could still be a lawyer, but we're still checking into that.
And he says he's never been to El Salvador.
He says, that according to the New York Times, that he's never been to El Salvador. He said he'd never even got a passport. That begs the question, how did he get into Haiti from Dominican Republic?
And I mean, there had been all this talk about maybe some of the missionaries being released this week, maybe even more next week, though maybe not all of them. Has that talk sort of subsided now? I mean, is the judge here focusing on this story?
We don't know that for a fact. We do know that the judge is aware now of these allegations against somebody who certainly looks identical to Jorge Puello. We know also that the Attorney General's office is looking at this information as well. We had information that the first ruling that they may give on the bail application for the 10 Americans wouldn't be till Monday, so essentially they've got two more days for this information to soak in.
It just seems like the legal system and everything is really murky down here, and I mean, it's very easy to kind of get lost in who's really in charge and who does what, and I mean, it seems like no one really knows who anybody really is.
Well, I think as well, because this case is developing, and in some cases it seems that the media have found out a little bit quicker even than the investigators. You know, we know that the judge is the one who will make a final ruling, possibly as early as Monday, on the bail application, but now he's got to filter in this extra information. So we'll see what he does.
Okay, Carl Penhall, appreciate it very much. We're going to take